Hey folks, it's Dennis with Aspen Thicket Grouse Dogs. Thanks for tuning in. Today I have a video for you about what I consider to be my ride or die boots. And I know that's kind of a touchy subject because everybody has their favorite pair of boots. Everybody's tried those other boots. Those other boots are trash, so on and so forth. Sometimes boots can get you into the social media argument where you can just put a picture of a potato on their Facebook and let people argue about it. But the reality is, I wanted to tell you guys about what the boots that I really, really like. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, I have tried many, many boots over the years, and to be honest, I'm kind of a cheap boot guy. Like I don't expect to pay $100 for a pair of boots and have them last forever. But I'm generally the guy that thinks I should be able to get a pair of boots for a couple $100 and get 3 years out of them, and that should be pretty good. And I do like that because I rotate out a couple pair of boots throughout the season. Plus, we also have the, like your muck boots for the really wet weather and stuff like that. So when I look for an upland boot, I expect to pay about $200, have leather uppers on it, make it feel comfortable, kind of lightweight, good traction on the bottom, and hopefully I can get a couple seasons out of it, hunting as much as we do. What I found that worked for me are the Danner Sharptail boots. They're Gore-Tex. I've never had any leaks in them. I'm on my third pair now, which I just bought. I've had 2 pairs of those boots that have lasted me over 3 years. The first pair that I had actually had some stitching rip out on the top of it because they're a moccasin toe boot. And I've since found a solution for that we're going to talk about a little bit in this video, where you can actually use boot guard and coat those seams, and you can even take it a step further than what I do, and you can actually make yourself a toe cap, which I'm going to do in this thing here. So that's what we're going to talk about today, right? I'm going to show you the boots. I'm going to show you the application of the boot guard, and then we can talk a little bit about it after we get there. So that's where we're headed next. Hey, do you want to see this bird? Good job! You pointed it! You pointed it! So these are the Danner Sharptails. A little bit of information on them if you should be interested in them. These boots have been my go-to for quite some time. I typically get about 3 years out of a pair, and one of the things that I really, really like about these boots is they are super light, they fit well. Traction on the bottom is actually not that bad for what we do up here. I've worn them in North Dakota. I wore them in the Grouse woods here in Michigan, and I also wear them in the pheasant fields of Iowa. And they've been a really, really good boot for me. And I know some people say, oh, they're not made, they're made in China, they're not the Danners made in America. Well, I mean, some of us don't want to invest $400 or $500 in a pair of boots, so I prefer to take these that I can get on sale for $180 or something like that, and get 3 years out of them with the right care. And they've, like I said, they've been really, really good for me. Now, that being said, one of the things you have to do with these boots is you kind of have to prep them, right? And I prefer to use this KG's boot guard. And what you're going to want to do, and we can go through it in the video, is you're actually going to want to cover up and put some boot guard on these seams right here. And then you can also put them on these seams, because those are the ones that are going to be exposed to stuff. The way I actually like to do it is you can make just like a toe cap, and then follow the seams back on them. And you use this boot guard. I'm not sure if you folks are familiar with it, but it will really it'll protect those laces from getting tore up, because reality is that's pretty much the only hole in these. The first pair that I had lasted right around 3 seasons for me, and what happened was the laces eventually tore out here, and it didn't tear out from the grouse woods, but it was pretty much from the pheasant fields in Iowa. So I've gone to using that KG's boot guard, and these things will last a long time for you. They're very comfortable on the inside. They are not insulated. They have Gore-Tex, and like I said, I've really been impressed with them. I'm woodcock band in the spring, dog training in the summer, hunt in the fall, and these boots, probably the ones the last pair that I had, you're probably looking at 100 days in the field for 3 years. So I mean, that's the equivalent of wearing them every day almost for a year. So for me, that works. I know that these boots are kind of like breeds of dog, right? There's only, your brand is the only brand you like, and everything else is crap. And I know you've tried it, but this is just a video to show you that these are the ones that I really, really like. And I'm going to, show you how to actually apply that KG's boot guard on there, which you can apply on your other boots too, to help you get some more mileage out of them. So we're going to go ahead and use this KG boot guard on these boots here. And when you buy this KG boot guard, you get a number of things with it. Number one, you get the material itself, a swab, and then you also get some sandpaper to rough up the areas. Now, one of the things that I like to do is, if I'm going to put a toe cap on these, then I like to go ahead and mask that part off. I like to actually mask the boots just to give myself a little bit of a cleaner line along there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So go ahead and take the boot. Want to have a nice clean line. Nice clean line along the top where I'm going to do that. I'm not so worried about this cap portion here, because I'm actually going to run it across like that to provide myself a cap. But where the areas that I'm not, I like to go ahead and mask off a nice little line there, so we can at least catch you want to catch the threads with the boot guard. Catch all of these exposed threads with that boot guard. Just a little spot here, right? So then we're going to go ahead, and you want to rough up the areas that you're going to apply this stuff to, right? Scuff it up so you get it to stay real well. I'm just going to scuff up the front part here, because we're going to run a direct line across the top part of the cap. And then for here, of course, we're just gonna, I don't wanna mess up the threads on there. I just want to hit that leather a little bit. Okay, and then of course we're gonna hit right around the leather, make a nice little line there for that boot guard. And then I'm going to hit the cap, because we want to be actually right along on this cap area right here. So I got that roughed up. I got a nice little line across, right? Got that demarked. And then I'll peel this back where I'm going to have that nice line. And then essentially I have, these boots are prepped, and ready to go. So now, KG boot guard, we'll go ahead and take this stuff. And it's really thick, so you can't really, I mean, you can shake it a little bit, but the best thing is to stir it for 1 minute and then you apply it. So you go ahead and take this deal right here, open up your boot guard. Go ahead and get something to open that with. That's our boot guard right there. And then we got to stir it for 1 minute. So we are now at 8:53. I'm gonna make sure I go down to the bottom, get all of that stuff in there. Probably should get myself a little bit of a towel too once I get this all mixed up, and put it down so Mrs. Grouse doesn't have an issue with what I'm doing here if I leave a mess. So we go ahead for 1 minute, closing in on it. Get it nice and stirred up. And that's a minute. Now, like I said, I'll just go ahead and use this washcloth right here so I don't get in trouble. Take a good amount and we just apply it. And we're putting it on front part of the boot. Not worried about a lot of it running off at this point because you can actually go back and wipe it a little bit. But I really want to just put this on here and kind of hit these threads, hey, right? It's my main mission in life is doing like that and getting these threads taken care of, right? So I'm gonna dip a little more in, go across the top, and I wanna get those, all of those threads that are there, as those are what will eventually fail on you with your boots. So go ahead and hit that spot right there, okay? I'll turn the boot to its side, little dab. I have that masking tape on there, so I'm not terribly concerned, right? Hit this part here. Again, hit the front. Same thing on this side. Go right in there. Boom. Make sure I'm covering all of those threads. Now me, I like to do a little extra, come across the top here. That way, I'm making a nice toe cap for these boots, okay? Again, a little more here. Put it across the top, nice. Got all the threads covered. Boom. Go ahead and peel my tape off. I'm sure I made a little bit more of a mess than I wanted to, but they're boots, right? So it's not gonna bother me too much. But then I'll go ahead and I'll take a little bit of a wet cloth and I'll clean up around those areas and show you what that looks like in a second. So here's what they kind of look like finished, right? For now, I'm going to set this aside to dry, but see, I've followed the seam here And then I got all of the threads on the top, and I made myself a little toe cap. Same thing on this side here, right? Now I'm going to want to leave these set for a good overnight, hey, and then I'll go back. And it says it only needs to be 3 to 4 hours, but I'm fine. I'll let it go overnight, and then I'll go ahead and I'll put double duty on those, and that'll make a nice hard cover on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other boot off camera, and then we'll be back. One small little edit here. I went ahead and just did the whole toe cap this time. So you can see I went all the way up to the threads in case a stick or something hits those threads in there. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and let those sit till tomorrow. All right, well, I hope you guys got something out of that. That's the way we do it here. Those are my preferred way to work with those boots. I think by putting that cap on there, like I did with my previous pair, I'm going to get 3 seasons out of those, no problem whatsoever. And actually, when you're paying around, you can get those things on sale for about $180. That's not too bad of a deal for 3 years. They're comfortable as hell, and they keep my feet dry. I know they're not for everyone. I understand that some of you may have had them. They may not have been perfect for you. That's okay. That's, we can try all kinds of boots out and we can find what works for us. But I thought this would be a cooler video for you guys to show you how you can apply that boot guard. And it doesn't have to be for these boots. You can actually put that on other boots that you have and extend the life of those somewhat. Truth in advertising, I was hoping to be able to show you a video to talk about the Danner Grouse boots, which are the actual, the made in America good ones that everybody seems to like, but I have yet to find a pair that fit. I've tried the wide ones because they're supposed to run a little narrow, and the wide ones are just a little bit too wide enough to make your foot slip. And then I try the regular D size, which is the normal size, and they're so tight that they're not going to break in over time. So, they just don't. And it depends on. I've tried those probably over the course of 4 years. Every other year, I'm like, I'm going to try them this year. And the sizing is so crazy on those that I can never get them to fit. So I do love my Danner Sharptails. These work good for me. In addition to the Danner Sharptails, I also use the LL Bean 10-inch bean boot, which worked great for me for years. I also use some version of muck boots when it's really, really wet out and we're doing that type of hunting. And those seem to work for me over the years. So probably give a look at some of the crispy boots now that the upland version has come out, but I'm waiting for people to test those a little bit because anything that costs over $300 better last pretty well. So I'm going to pay attention to the reviews on that, and then we'll keep working towards it. That's about all I have for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. It's we're into July now, so we're going to be out doing some driving around and scouting. I won't actually put the dogs on the ground until we get closer to August. I don't like the idea of breaking up the broods when there's a whole bunch of predators out there right now. And that's for each his own. I'm not picking at anybody there. You make your own decision on that, but they're very vulnerable at this time. So you got to be careful when you're out poking around with those grouse broods. But we'll be driving around on the side-by-side, looking to see what we kind of do on some roadside surveys and stuff like that. Keep in mind, we have our events coming up, Manassas Bonanza, August 1st through 3rd. You can find out more about that on our website, www.aspenthicketgrousedogs.com. And I believe we're going to be on a couple podcasts this week. Brian Van de Mazen had me on Amazing Outdoors. I think that's going to be published pretty soon. So if you want to give a listen to that, we have a really cool conversation about kind of how we got into this and what we think it takes to make grouse dogs and why we kind of headed in that direction. And that's part one. We're going to do a part two later on about actual, development of dogs from breeding all the way to conditioning those pups and get them through those first couple of years. So if you're interested in that, you might want to check that out as well. But anyhow, that's all I have for now. I'd like to tell you thanks a lot for tuning in, and I hope everybody's having a good summer. We'll see you out in the woods real soon. Please give me a like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.